Welcome back for another video. 52 points last game week, a red arrow to 12.5k. Really painful clean sheet wipe on the double Leeds defence, and that was the difference between green and a red. Fine margins. Leeds only conceded 0.57 xg as well, so quite unlucky for those of you that had Leeds defence in your team. The front three all scored though, João Pedro, Thiago, Haaland, which did help minimise the red arrow. And Hill with a 10-pointer against Palace as well, huge return in the lowest scoring game week. Senesi as well with 14 points. I didn't have him, but he won the penalty and he got max bonus. I'm quite quick to point out my mistakes sometimes in videos, so I've got to mention the decision to sell Gabriel for Beal, which was a 10-point gain in the double game week, and then again delaying the decision to buy Gabriel back one more week, which was an extra 4-point gain, because I would have sold Hill. So that's 14 points just from that. It really goes to show like the knock-on effect transfers can have, because again, I've been going on about how that decision to buy Salah and Ekitike when they were home to Spurs has ended up being really costly, because they of course were both benched, and I've ended up a couple transfers down where I would have been. I'm going to need some more good fortune for a shot at 10k, as it's popular triple captain week, isn't it, for anyone that still has the chip. Plus there's going to be some bench boosts active, and I think a lower percentage of wildcards and free hits this week. Only 2 free transfers as well. No Palace players for the double currently, no Arsenal players currently, and Cherki is looking like the much better pick than Semenyo, so it's a real puzzle how to try and solve this with only 3 game weeks and 4 transfers left. I've got a graphic from Live FPL here which shows the rank tiers heading into these final 3 game weeks, so open your FPL app and just double check how many total points you're on, and this kind of helps show where other rank tiers are relative to you. 1,994 points is 1 million, 2,045 points is 500k, 2,124 points is top 100k, 2,149 points is 50k, and I'm currently 6 points behind 10k. So you might find that useful to sort of gauge how near you are to potential rank targets, how aggressively you need to play, or maybe just defensively in the final few weeks. So I'll run you through the team and plans for Game Week 36 next, but let's quickly do the community highlights. Dangle says, no chip used, and he absolutely killed it. He got returns from 9 out of his starting 11 players and finished on 81 points. Beat me by 29 points. FPL Independent says, this has to be my worst week this year. In Game Week 35, I got 30 points, 1,941 total points. Overall rank is 1.7 mil. A Game Week rank of about 12 million. Big Gerald says, huge wildcard disaster with 50 points. I let go of Raya, Senesi and Thiago, and says, it seems like the Game Week 32 wildcard has won the debate, and currently I'm losing grasp on first place in my mini league. The upside is I've got a decent Game Week 36 team to work with, and I hope the triple captain 36 works out. And lastly, Nick Plater says, a great bench boost after dropping from 50k to 200k in 2 weeks, 96 points and back inside the top 100k, and says, fingers crossed I can stay there. Yeah, that is a season defining game week, and if you do finish top 100k, you're definitely going to remember that game week fondly. Hopefully you can stay inside there. Good luck. Thank you everyone for the submission. So on to the team and plans for Game Week 36. Verbruggen comes back into the starting 11 for the first time since Game Week 32, where he returned 9 points with a clean sheet against Burnley, and he also kept that clean sheet home to Chelsea the following week on the bench boost in the double. Brighton have really tightened up, and they're finding form at the perfect time to potentially even claim a European spot for next season. They've kept 3 clean sheets in their last 6 matches, that's joint most. In defence, it's a back 3 of Hill, Van Heck and O'Reilly. So double Brighton defence, playing Wolves home, who are struggling for goals right now, or over the season to be fair, but over the last 6 matches they rank rock bottom in the league for expected goals with just 4.51. Only Chelsea have scored fewer goals than their 3. I mean, it's actually unimaginable that Chelsea have got 1 goal over that run. I mean, what am I doing with double Chelsea attacking my team? It's not a half bad fixture for Hill either, and he's been so consistent since breaking into the team. Bournemouth aren't conceding much, loads of clean sheets, and he gets the DEFCON so consistently. However, it does feel like the right time to buy Gabriel back now, which would mean dropping Hill to first on the bench. Man City are top of the clean sheet odds for the Palace game, or joint with Brighton, both on 46%. And then it's Villa, they play Burnley with 38%. City's Brentford fixture is 36%, that's the same as Arsenal away at West Ham. Bournemouth have been given a 20% chance, so it's a definite upgrade there on the clean sheet odds this week. And lastly, O'Reilly with a home double game week, Brentford home first and then Palace home second. And then 3 days after that, it's the FA Cup final. 3 days after that, Game Week 37. 5 days after that, Game Week 38. So it's a hectic schedule for City. He's definitely in Pep's best 11. Given the packed schedule, I just really hope that he plays every game still. Well, the league mainly. Hopefully next season, they add an emergency loan chip where you can own a 4th player from a team just for 1 game week. I'd love to have another City player this week. Have you got any chip ideas that you think would be a good addition or replacement for an existing chip in FPL? Anyway, onto the midfield, which is Semenyo, Bruno, Palmer, Tavernier and Gross. Likely Gross's last match in my starting 11 this season. He's been unbelievable so far, with a 6 and a 16 pointer when starting him. It's such a great fixture as well if you want to look at Brighton attackers. I think Låbakk will be the standout if you need a striker, or Hinshelwood. He's got really good attacking data recently as well. Over the last 6 game weeks, Tavernier has amassed exactly 3.0 non-pen XGI, which ranks 4th among all midfielders in the league. And top is actually Hinshelwood with 4.42 over that run. And then it's Bruno and then it's Cherky. Wilson is one player that I'm looking at, maybe this week or maybe in Game Week 37, because he's got Bournemouth home, and he's got Wolves away, and then Newcastle home. His data's not been so great as of late, and yeah, we've not seen the goal involvements either. 1.7 XGI over the last 6. That's just behind McGinn and McNeil. Fixtures do create form though. So Cherky is 3rd over that span, whereas Semenyo doesn't even fit on the table. 1.27 XGI over the last 6 for Semenyo. That ranks 44th among midfielders. 307 minutes per expected goal involvement, whereas Cherky's is 123.5 minutes per. This could be a major decision in the run-in, whether to make that swap to Cherky or not. Because the knock-on effect is it's 1 fewer transfer than I'd aim to have for the run-in, which is going to be needed for Arsenal players. You know, maybe to buy Wilson, who I mentioned, maybe to buy Bowen, who's got Leeds home in Game Week 38. So it could even lead to a hit in Game Week 37 by swapping to Cherky, with so minimal time to have that hit repaid as well. Semenyo owners, are you making the switch or are you keeping hold? Drop a comment below of your thoughts. And the rest of the midfield is Bruno, Palmer, Tavernier. Bruno and Tavernier I'm happy to have in there. I'd like to see Tavernier deliver on those good underlying numbers a little bit more. There was a really good chance last match where he's played through on goal and a better shot either side of the keeper and it's in, but he hit it straight at Henderson. So Saka got a goal and an assist last game week in just 45 minutes, and he scored in the Champions League as well to send Arsenal through to the final. So that Palmer to Saka move does look tailor-made, doesn't it? So I'm just not sure if I'll do it this week. I'll talk more on transfer plans in a sec. And up front we've got João Pedro and Haaland. Liverpool's 9.78 expected goals conceded over the last 6 is 4th worst in the league. Now given that we'll likely have both Palmer and João Pedro playing, I'm hoping that Alisson and Mamardashvili miss one more game. They are both expected to be back around now, so we'll have to see. I mean, Chelsea have been unbelievably bad though, so it's not great to have double attack. They're in such a mess, and it's not a great fixture really, let's be honest. Hopefully it's one of those wide open games with lots of goals. So just on the projected goals, we've looked at the clean sheet odds. In terms of projected goals, both of City's double game week fixtures are top. They've got 2.6 and 2.5. Brighton also on 2.5 versus Wolves, Liverpool on 2.1 against Chelsea, Arsenal and Villa 2.0. Now Chelsea are further down there with just 1.4. So moving on to the bench and transfer plans. The bench is Darlow, Struijk, Thiago and Biel. 2 free transfers and 3.2 mil in the bank. So the first planned move, and that's a lock, is Struijk to Gabriel. I've got more than enough money to do that. Now what I could do, as I mentioned earlier, is Semenyo to Cherky with the second free transfer. And then in Game Week 37, it'd be Palmer to Saka, and Game Week 38, Thiago to Bowen potentially. That means owning double Arsenal home to Burnley. It would mean no Wilson though for that Wolves game in particular in Game Week 37. I've kind of just settled on the decision now to have no Palace players. It's not the best double. One of the games is City, of course, and they've got one eye on the Europa, so I'm just going to have to pray that they have a poor double game week, since I'll have none in my team. If I had like 3 or 4 transfers, I'd probably be adding 1 in. Another path I like is, so I'll still do the Struijk to Gabriel move, but another option is to roll the other transfer and then do Palmer and Gross to Saka and Dewsbury Hall in Game Week 37. That's when Arsenal and Everton have got Burnley and Sunderland home. You know, Dewsbury Hall might be a much needed differential with a great fixture that week, and that does free up the money that would be needed for Thiago to Bowen in Game Week 38. That does all hinder on Semenyo being good for the running though, otherwise yeah, it just doesn't make sense to favour Dewsbury Hall over going to Cherki, so it does depend on that. I could also go for Wilson instead, but that would mean I'll have to sell João Pedro in Game Week 38 and keep in Thiago, whereas I like the Thiago to Bowen move. Might not be a bad thing given Chelsea's form, but I quite like Chelsea's final 2 games, Spurs home and Sunderland away, so I wouldn't mind keeping João Pedro to keep one attacker there. Plus, as I say, Thiago's got Liverpool away in Game Week 38, so he just makes more sense to me to swap to Bowen, who's got Leeds home that week. So yeah, really, it all boils down to Semenyo versus Cherki, and this is the big decision. Like, if Semenyo carries on blanking, maybe even gets a bench in worst case scenario, then the move is absolutely worth it. Semenyo is such a versatile player though. Like, he's played across the entire front 3 for City already. He was amazing in left wing, and he's played second striker, did well there as well. So does Pep change things around? Like, he's going to be aware of Semenyo's drop off. Or are we getting to the point, like, do you remember early in the season, Foden was playing really poor and he got to the point where there was a run of blanks and it wasn't good enough and we saw him drop out. Do we see something similar with Semenyo dropping out and maybe Foden now gets his chance to come back in, start through the middle, Cherki moves to the right? It's guesswork, to be honest. Like, you can't predict what Pep's going to do. Cherki's undeniably been the better player recently. Of course, it's still possible Semenyo outscores Cherki as he was a couple of months ago. It does sound pretty solid as a final set of 4 moves though, doesn't it? So Gabriel and Cherki come in Game Week 36, Palmer to Saka Game Week 37, and then Thiago to Bowen in Game Week 38. Of course, that does hinder on no other issues popping up as well, otherwise potential hit territory or making a sacrifice. I am expecting Saka to start against West Ham and an early substitution again. They were only 1-0 up against Atletico, so you know they could have easily come back, and Saka came off at 58 minutes, didn't even make it to an hour, just short. So that's clearly the medical team guiding that one, and he's still working his way back. So what's better? Saka with maybe 60-ish, 65 minutes versus West Ham, or Palmer with probably 90 against Liverpool and on pens, whereas Saka probably not unless Havertz starts. My feeling is that it's a little bit sideways this week potentially. I'm not confident enough it's a definite upgrade this week, whereas obviously in Game Week 37 it's an undeniable upgrade. So my plan is to leave the Palmer to Saka move to Game Week 37. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon for the next one.